seeing, as well as mental notes. And within a few days, he'd worked up these watercolours. The first one is actually the most abstract, but in that one, you know exactly what's happening. You can feel those flames, you can see the night sky over the Thames at Westminster, filled with a radiating, fiery glow. Why is it that Turner felt that he had to rush down there? After all, there are a lot of artists in London at the time, but it's only Turner who does this series of watercolours and 2 spectacular oil paintings, all of which are amazing milestones in the history of art. I think the reason is that Turner is the artist of natural light effects. He has a furious hunger to document what the natural world is like and how it is revealed by light. But he is also the artist whose mind is constantly whirling with big ideas. So in this apocalyptic end-of-the-world scene, there's also the national mood, the nation's dissatisfaction with a corrupt government, and all these pressures in recent decades on the government to reform. And now they see it spectacularly, literally caving in and burnt to the ground. At 9:30 that evening, when the roof of one of the buildings collapses, the whole crowd erupts with cheers. It's a weird, soaring moment of national anarchy. Who knows if Turner himself was cheering or if he was too busy scribbling with his pencil. But certainly the light effect of radiance has a mood corollary of exultant national anarchy.
Now you're looking at one of the final oil paintings, produced a year after the fire actually happened. He did most of it in front of a crowd of people. The tradition of big public exhibitions was that artists might put delicate final touches on their paintings in the gallery before a show opened. This was called Varnishing Day. Turner brought in the large canvas to the gallery with only a few blurry outlines on it, and in a 6-hour public performance, he painted the whole scene, hardly stepping back to get a good look. You're seeing horror, triumph, fascination, all mixed up. Turner just does the work, picks up his stuff, and leaves the building.
Thames gave Turner his great source of meaning. Consumerism, anxiety, doubt, fear of nothing really meaning anything at all. These themes of all our lives today first strongly emerged in Turner's time. It really was an age of transformation. There was a gradual disappearance of nature and a move from the country to the town, from working the land to working in industry. Turner's depictions of the Thames brought together the spirituality and the commerce of the age. He could see in the beautiful light of its surfaces values that were thought to go back to an ancient time, but also new developments that were absolutely strange to people who lived at the time. He could depict the low and the high, the turnips in their muddy fields, and Windsor Castle up in the ethereal mists.
This tumult of change in his nation's life ran alongside the multitude of layered meanings that always characterises Turner's pictures. And so what has since become his most popular work, created when he was nearing the end of his life, can be read both as personal and a sort of national elegy. It was inspired initially by an article he read in the papers, The Temeraire, a battleship at the centre of England's successful fight against the French at Trafalgar, was moored on the Thames and was about to be destroyed. Then he happened to see the ship when he was coming back on the steam packet from one of his Margate trips. Later, Turner often referred to the painting he created from these experiences as "my darling." His title for the painting was "The Fighting Temeraire, tugged to her last berth to be broken up." The picture is about the magnitude and sorrow of loss. And the role he's giving to light here is light as metaphor. He foregrounds the tug, which should be small, so that it seems bigger than the main body of the old doomed sailing ship.
The Fighting Temeraire. How different the mood would be if it weren't for the accent of that black boy. But how exactly Turner gets the balance between the two blacks, the boy and the tug, with that precise sense of space in between, the massive heavy treatment of the sunset and then the glow beneath, where it's hard to say where light grades into dark. So subtle is the grade. How he gets all that is the essence of the success of the picture. Water becomes a metaphor for feeling, for yearning, the sense of loss, the depth of emotion that his subject is about. A metaphor is a literary thing that comes from the mind, but the painting is made powerful by what's actually in it, the precise shapes of those sails with the light shining on them. That shape is repeated in that sliver of light by the boy, the massive liveliness of the sunset taking up so much of the picture, and then the quiet placidity of the blue shimmering cityscape on the horizon. It's through the doing and redoing of all those calling and answering elements of the painting that Turner makes light and water into such a tremendous metaphor.
Intensity of feeling for Turner can take many forms and can be realised with all sorts of subject matter. It can be the national mood, life becoming faster, harder, more emotionally distanced, the beginning of the kinds of lives we all lead now. When Turner takes ordinary life as his subject and makes a sort of epic statement about it, so ordinary life is reflected back to people with the force and intensity of a clap of thunder, how does he do it? The answer is technique. He has an idea, then through his manipulation of materials, through trial and error in the studio, he finds the form that will lift a mere idea onto the level of a vision.
Rain, steam, and speed. The Great Western Railway, 1844. You're looking at the new railway bridge that was built over the River Thames at Maidenhead only a few years before Turner painted this. Everyone's interested in it. It's a new force in daily life. You've got timeless nature, atmosphere, rain, mist, and then this new thing, noise, speed, metal, the arrival of the steam train. Turner shows his black train coming out of a white, shimmery surface. When things are shimmering, it's uncertain where they are, even what they are. Turner takes that uncertainty and makes it into a positive, into a mythic image of a big change in existence. It's a titanic piece of work, quintessential Turner, where he's telling people about existence, which they love, and he's doing it through the magical means of depiction of light. But you're also looking at something else, Turner's materials. It's hard to see this image and not be amazed by them. All that scraped matter, the thin blue lines like ink, and the big build-up of browny, white, pasty matter. And then that tawny brown stuff that he's made the bridge out of, which close up looks like something a builder might be doing repairs with. It's a train in a world of blob.
Something that was expected to be happening with abysses and chasms up mighty mountains, which is what the theory of the sublime in art was about, was now happening with a train. A sensation of horror and beauty all at once. Turner wasn't an articulate philosopher or an articulate analyzer or an articulate social commentator, but he was a profoundly talented artist. And if he didn't communicate well verbally, it doesn't matter, because he was a prophet with his paintings. The Thames gave Turner subjects to express what it was like to be alive. Radical disorder is the message of the radiant, unreal spectrum reds and yellows of the Houses of Parliament going up in flames. In the moody waters of the Fighting Temeraire, there's the loss of heroic and virtuous aims. The Napoleonic era comes to an end, this thing that has ruled everybody's life for so long, and money, or commerce, looks set to take over from the noble battles and fearsome enemy that once united people. With rain, steam and speed, we see modernity. The message of a shimmering sky over the Thames at Maidenhead is radical change. Turner painted more than he saw. His paintings communicated fears and exaltations of the time, the thoughts that people had and wondered about. And he found in the natural world, in the light effects on the surface of the Thames, the opportunities for expressing those thoughts. We can analyse Turner's processes and learn about his ideas and influences, but the feeling of his paintings in the first place, and ultimately the only sensation that matters, is of being overwhelmed. Like light itself, Turner believed it gave life to everything. The feeling of awe.
Reliving the events of 7/7 here on BBC HD tomorrow, the terrorist attacks that both tore London apart and brought her together in one day at 10:30.